how important this issue is for our community. First, I would like to state that we are making no political statements or opinions. We are here to discuss the potential local impacts of the federal government shutdown on nutrition assistance programs, specifically the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, and the Women, Infants, and Children WIC program. Forsyth County is responsible for administering these programs on behalf of the federal and state governments, but they are funded with federal dollars. These programs are vital lifelines for many in our community. In Forsyth County, approximately 57,000 residents receive SNAP, commonly referred to as food stamps, and more than 31,000 of those are youth under the age of 18. That means over half are children. SNAP brings in nearly $10 million each month from the federal government to help feed our local families. In addition, about 10,000 residents rely on the WIC program, including nearly 1,900 infants. WIC amounts to approximately $700,000 each month from the federal government for critical nutrition assistance. Between these two programs alone, that equates to almost $130 million per year of federal funds that supports our Forsyth County residents. Do not be mistaken about the face of those who receive assistance. It is people of all races, all genders, all ages, all walks of life, in all parts of our community. They may be your neighbors, your family members, your friends. They could be working individuals just trying to make ends meet. The reality is this could be any one of us. This could be you. Food is a basic human need. No one in Forsyth County should go hungry. The idea that thousands of children, babies, and families in our community could face a food deficit is simply unacceptable. Even with robust support, food banks can only provide a fraction of the nutritional assistance that federal programs like SNAP and WIC can provide. For every meal that a food bank is able to provide to neighbors experiencing hunger, SNAP provides 9. And that scale underscores how important federal support is and why preparation and coordination locally are essential. I want to be clear that we are sharing information we have as of right now, today. Things are changing rapidly, and our hope is that ultimately this becomes a non-issue. In addition to monitoring the effects on families, Forsyth County is also monitoring the economic impacts to our community, such as potential losses in local sales tax revenue. A significant portion of that supports our schools, reduced sales at grocery stores that rely on these federal funds, and other ripple effects that could impact our local economy and government services. As a community, we must be prepared and we must respond together. That is why we have been working closely with our community partners to plan for what could lie ahead. I'm grateful to be joined today by several key partners. Denise Price, Deputy County Manager and Health and Human Services Director, will provide the latest updates we have received from federal and state officials and steps Forsyth County has been taking to ready for a possible decrease or pause of SNAP and WIC benefits. Kathy Moore, Interim Superintendent of Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, will highlight the role schools play in supporting students who rely on food and nutrition assistance. Margaret Elliott, Executive Director of Crisis Control Ministry, will discuss how her organization has prepared to meet the nutritional needs of infants served by the WIC program. Eric Aft, CEO of Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina, will speak about how Second Harvest has prepared for a potential increase in demand for food and the role of food pantries. And Reverend Angela Brown-Dix, President of the Ministers' Conference of Winston-Salem and vicinity, will discuss how faith communities can come together to support. I also want to acknowledge that there are many more organizations and individuals, some here in the audience and others not present, who are part of this effort. Everyone plays an important role as we navigate these challenging times. And on behalf of Forsyth County, I want to thank you again for being here today Together, we will work to ensure that no family in Forsyth County is left without food. And now Deputy County Manager, Health and Human Services Director Denise Price will provide an update.
Good morning. As Manager Robertson mentioned, we are expecting potential impacts to SNAP and WIC programs. We received notification that funding will not be available for SNAP benefits effective November the 1st. This means that November benefits will not be loaded onto the electronic benefit transfer or EBT cards. While funding is not available to support benefits nor administrative functions, Social Services has been instructed to continue to process applications, including expedited services, and to complete recertifications in compliance with federal and state policies. This includes processing within required timeframes. We will remain available to adhere to these expectations. As for WIC, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, which we commonly refer to as NCDHHS, announced late last week that funding has been secured for both food benefit and administrative functions for WIC operations into November. Specifically, funding is expected to support operations through November the 15th. Our WIC office remains open for business as normal, and individuals that are interested in receiving WIC supports are encouraged to apply. Existing participants are encouraged to keep appointments and to continue to use the benefits that have been loaded to their EBT cards. During a shutdown, WIC can continue only as long as funding exists. If the shutdown should exceed the existing funding, it will likely result in an interruption of WIC services. The state has communicated that they will make every effort to provide at least a 3-day notice of changes to program operations. It is important for participants in both the WIC and SNAP programs to meet timeliness for participation requirements, and that those that are interested in applying to do so without delay. This will assure that once funding is restored, that benefits are available to them as quickly as possible. There are a few other things that we know at this time that I would like to share. The first is about the Auto Low Income Energy Assistance Program, referred to as LEAP. It is funded through carryover funds from last federal fiscal year. We have received funding to cover expected costs of these automatic payments. We have not yet, though, received our federal block grant, which means that we cannot accept applications beyond the auto process. The application period for the priority group is scheduled to begin December the 1st. If the federal budget is passed before then there will be no lapse in services. NCDHHS received notice from the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, that they will continue operations during the shutdown. The notice indicates sufficient Medicaid funding for the first quarter of the federal fiscal year. That ends December of 2025. CMS will also continue federal marketplace activities such as eligibility verification using federal marketplace user fee carryovers. The state has covered payments for temporary assistance for needy families, or TANF, in October and November. We continue to monitor this closely. In preparation for potential impacts, Forsyth County Food and Nutrition Partners, many of who are standing behind me, have been meeting routinely, sharing information, and assuring that we are prepared to direct individuals to resources in our community. Additionally, Forsyth County has launched a webpage where updates regarding impacts and potential impacts are posted for the community to receive. We encourage individuals to check back regularly as there are frequently changes. Partners, as you will hear, are ready and for potential increases in demand for the services and supports that they provide. The Forsyth County Pharmacy is leveraging all possible patient assistance programs to help to provide low and no-cost specialty formulas for eligible WIC participants. As you'll recall, County Manager Robinson mentioned that over 1/2 of the SNAP recipients in Forsyth County are children. As many of these children attend our Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools, Superintendent Moore will highlight the role that the schools play in supporting students who relied on food and nutrition services.
Thank you, County Manager, for inviting me to share the supports that we have in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School District for our students. 68 of our 81 schools, and because some of our schools share cafeterias, it equates to 71 out of 81 of our schools are what's called CEP, which is Community Eligibility Provision. So all of those schools provide breakfast and lunch at no cost for all students. It's important, obviously, for our students to have the opportunity to be well fed when they come into the educational environment. Students who are hungry cannot learn. So we are fortunate, as again, that at 71 of our schools, community eligibility provision is in place and students do receive breakfast and lunch at no cost. At the other 10 schools that are not CEP, the board agreed several years ago that every student would be served a full meal whether or not they had any balance available on their lunch account. So no student is turned away from breakfast or lunch. They do put it on the student's account, and they allow those accounts to run into the negative. Notices are sent to families so that families can pay them if they are able to. But every month, at the end of every year, we reconcile those negative fund balances for students who have received breakfast or lunch but not paid for it. We have an angel fund that was established about 15 years ago in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools that has been providing support for those students who have unpaid balances on their child nutrition accounts. Right now, that angel fund is tapped at about the amount of $10,000 per month in terms of students who have unpaid balances. We usually pay it at the end of the year, but the cost is around $10,000 per month. So I want to say thank you to our community partners and folks who contribute to that angel fund on a regular basis. Those contributions are needed, and they are used 100% to ensure that every single student does not have to worry about a negative balance on their account. We will continue to monitor the federal programs and what is happening with the shutdown. Our breakfasts and lunches at our CEP schools are provided on a federal reimbursement rate basis. So as long as we are able to continue to bill the federal government for that portion of those breakfasts and lunches, we should not have a problem. If anything does happen on that landscape, then obviously we will communicate that to our families and work with the board to see what our options may be. We do also have 25 schools within our district that have a food pantry on site. Those food pantries service the students and families of those schools. So on our district website, we're just going to make sure that our families know where to go in their schools, ask our principals to update and maybe put a banner on their websites and communicate with families to make sure that their families are aware of the fact that students are eligible to receive breakfast or lunch every day at all of our schools, whether they are CEP or not, and our schools that do have food pantries that are available. Those pantries are partnered with churches in the community, other organizations in our community, so schools handle them differently and have different hours and accessibility for them. So that messaging will be best to come from our schools. We'll offer to give the county any and all of that information as well, so we can tag team with them for their efforts also. Right now, we're just focused on making sure that the programs that we have available continue to thrive and that they are messaged properly so that our families know what their students can access in our schools. And now I'll turn it over to Margaret, who will be next.
I'm Margaret Elliott, the director at Crisis Control Ministry, and just in a nutshell, if you don't know, Crisis Control is the largest nonprofit provider of emergency assistance, helping to provide financial assistance for housing and utility bills, feeding families from a large client choice food pantry, and providing prescription medications to uninsured, underinsured, and now Medicaid patients from our licensed pharmacy. I want to thank the county for calling us all together today. In this county, we have always worked together across sectors, nonprofits, government programs, healthcare, school sectors, and local businesses. One thing I've learned over the years is that we have a very generous and caring community, especially when crises hit. It only makes sense, and it is the right thing to do. I will also say that while it is great that we all work together, the impact of the current government shutdown cannot be covered by nonprofits, but we'll do our very best to address the local need as much as we can. I received a call from Maita Grunseth from the Women, Infants, and Children program to ask if Crisis Control could possibly be on standby to provide food and baby formula assistance to the WIC program participants, especially to the 1,900 infants who require specialty baby formulas due to their various health conditions to keep them healthy and strong. Formula is not something we usually provide, but in times like these, we will work together to help our community. Our client services team met yesterday to talk about the ways we can efficiently provide food orders in addition to the formula. We too have received calls from local concerned community members asking what they can do to help. The answers are many. Most of us say send money, volunteer in a local food pantry, conduct food drives for nonprofits. I know at Crisis Control will bring you the bins and to collect the food in, and we'll come pick them up. And most importantly, perhaps, though, is to stay in touch with your congressional representatives to tell them to cooperate for the people they serve. Thank you. Next, we have Eric Aft from Second Harvest Food Bank.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you, County Manager Robinson, for inviting us. This is a difficult time, and we are doing our best to respond. This collaborative effort is so vital to our work. Second Harvest Food Bank, while serving the 18 counties of Northwest North Carolina, was established here in Forsyth County and has always been our headquarters home. Last year, in collaboration with our almost 100 partners that we support here in Forsyth County, including about 54 food pantries, which Margaret provides great leadership to one of those really fantastic organizations, we provided a little over 9.4 million meals to the residents of Forsyth County. So when County Manager Robinson noted that for every meal that food banks provide with our partners, that SNAP provides 9, you get an idea of the scale that we're speaking about the impact of this shutdown on our residents. When Dr. Moore spoke of the food pantries at the various schools, which are our partners, and we were so proud to have helped establish those in collaboration with the schools here in our community. And we've looked to expand those over the last few years. They are a critical link to providing support for not only the children that are in those schools, but their siblings, and then also the adults in those households. Those groups and all our partners stand ready to respond to the need of our community. The challenge continues to be resources. The reality is the federal resources, which have been around 25%, 25 to 30% of what we distribute every year, will be around 16 to 18% this year. So we're talking about a loss of about 3 million pounds of food that we are already experiencing. The good news is that Second Harvest, along with our board and our community partners, we have rallied to devote another $500,000 in purchasing food. And please bear in mind, before the pandemic, we would only spend about $500,000 a year to purchase food. And we've been averaging over $3 million the past few years. Is an indication of the historic need we are already experiencing. Literally 130% increase from 3 years ago. And anytime we talk statistics, we have to back up. And just as my partners and colleagues here today spoke about, these are individuals. These are our children. These are our neighbors. These are our seniors, the veterans who live in our community that we see every single day. So when we say 130% increase, we're talking about thousands, and in our case, on a monthly basis across our region, about 45,000 individuals more a month that we are assisting from 3 years ago. So this addition of the SNAP, potential loss of SNAP because of the shutdown and the inaction by our Congress at the moment, we will respond as best as we can. We need the community's help to continue to purchase food so we can get it out where it is needed most as quickly as possible. Now it's my pleasure to ask Dr. Brown-Dix to come to the podium.
Good morning. Let me first say that we've heard the statistics, we've heard statuses, we've heard the threat against not just our vulnerable population, but to all humanity, to all of us. And I would say that this is not the first time we've been here in a crisis. This is not the first time that the city and county have experienced astronomical situations. And so with that being said, from the faith community, this is not the first time that we have had to come together and go beyond denominations, go beyond faith practices, and see and meet the needs of the community, from leaders all the way down to those that go to the convenience stores and walk our streets and have nowhere to sleep, for those mothers that have more than one children, but multiple children, and trying to figure it out that when you send that child home to me after school, during winter break, if the school closes, what do I do? This is not our first time here, faith community, that we need to and continue to rise up and meet the needs. As we continue to pray, there are things that we can continue to do. There are innovative ways that we can begin to look at our faith communities, look at our ministries, look where we worship at, and see how we can revamp what we're doing. We begin to look at looking at alliances, looking at our local food pantries that may be in the area that you're in. If you don't have a food pantry, then reach out to that food pantry nearby, that faith community, and saying, how can we assist you? We may not have the funds, but we may have manpower, right? We may have space that you need. So overflow, this is not the first time we needed overflow. We needed overflow for housing, and we're gonna need overflow for food. I believe that what we need, we have it right here in this county, in this city. As faith communities, we began to look at ways to be sustainable beyond the threats, beyond what's going on, and so possibly creating pop-up food pantries, creating the smallest closet, and then asking your parishioners, asking those who come to worship at your places to say, we're gonna have a food drive Sunday, every Sunday. It may be green beans one Sunday, it may be, canned meat, because we wanna ensure that we are approaching and addressing all those needs beyond what we can see. And as you heard, the statistics is not just one particular zip code, it's all zip codes. Please do not forget our rural areas. There are people that cannot get to food pantries, get to grocery store, get to convenience stores. That's not their normal day of practice. And so faith communities, as we are looking for ways and means to be innovative and revamping the way we do ministry, we need to consider our rural areas as well. Maybe we can create some deliveries. Maybe that parishioner can't have the funds to donate, but I can donate my car and my time to deliver bags of food, boxes of food to those who are in need. And so as we begin to look at the different ways to take and approach this particular crisis, let us remember all persons, all people, because as you heard, it could just be you, it could just be that grandmother, it could just be that aunt. And so the Ministers' Conference would love to continue to partner and be that hub where we collect those resources so that our parishioners can know what are these new innovative ways that we can connect with food pantries. Even on your social media, when you're doing your Sunday morning services or your Saturday morning worships, whatever that looks like in your space, we always have our Cash App and our Givelifys. Now it's time for us to put up some QR codes where this is where you can get some food at, this is where you can get some toilet tissue at, and have these going streaming continually across the YouTubes and across the live streams. If you're still using the brick and mortar programs, then it's time for us to create QR codes and print out ways and list of food pantries nearby. Make calls, become friends with those that you don't know. Make these calls so that we can have these warm hands off, that when I can't provide for one of my parishioners, for one of my members, I can call the church down the street and say, hey, we have a need, and that need is met with a friendly smile and warmth. So thank you all so much for being here. We look forward as the Ministers' Conference to continue to connect with this team as we started about 2 weeks ago. And so we're here to be that listening ear, to be that voice, to make it comfortable, because let me tell you, the work that we do is not easy when you used to have money and now you're saying, I don't even have food to feed my children. And so as faith communities, let us create that safe space, that comfortable space for someone who looks like me can go to you and say, I need help. Thank you, and God bless us all. Remember, this is not the first time, and I know that we can do it. Thank you.
We will now open up for any questions.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us here. I'm Joshua Davis with WXII 12 News. We really appreciate your time, and I think this question could go to anyone, but I will point to the county manager probably to be the first one to answer this. This government shutdown, I think, is at 29 days, approaching 30 right now, and in just the span of about a month, we have seen such a tremendous impact on the food security of people across this county. But this issue, like these effects, these ripple effects, are going to be felt well after this month, and even if a deal was made tomorrow, right?
Yes, I mean, I think, during this month has been a trying time for our community. I need to repeat the question. I see my communications director, since others are listening. And the question was, will there be effects of this federal shutdown that's been happening for 29 days, for days and months to come? And I would say yes. I mean, this has been a challenging time for our community, but we are trying to prepare as best we can locally. The fact of the matter is, we hope that the government shutdown does end so that our residents can receive the services that they need. But I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that this will have some effects in our community for days and possibly weeks and months to come.
Gertrude Stinger, Fox 8 News. So it sounds like you guys had anticipated this potentially coming. It sounds like this kind of committee has been made for 2 weeks. Talk to me. As somebody, a parent or a member of our community who is scared right now, if somebody can just talk to them and let them know what you guys are doing.
Thank you. So the question was, it sounds like you have been aware that this could potentially be an impact for some time, and that you've gathered and convened to try to prepare for what to do. How do we reassure the community who may be feeling a whole lot of anxiety and angst? I will tell you that it is a fine balance, right? Because the last thing we want to do is to create any unnecessary anxiety for individuals. But we also want people to be prepared and well informed so that they can begin to position themselves to make good informed decisions for themselves and their families. And I think one of the most empowering pieces of information that we can share with individuals is, where else are there resources? If you have participated in the WIC program or in SNAP, you may have some limited knowledge of what else is available in the community, or perhaps you know more than we do, and we'd love to hear the other resources available as well. But again, making sure that we come before the community, one, to show unity and the preparedness that's happening behind the scenes, but also inform the community of what is available and provide platforms where they can get accurate information. There's a lot of information that is swirling out in the community right now, some of it not factual. So we're going to direct you to our website, where we are vetting information that we are posting. We are updating regularly. We're going to direct you to the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services website, where they are doing the same. Thank you.
Absolutely. Information is power, and what we need to do is, as Denise just described, is make sure that people have information. One related to food assistance is we encourage individuals who are concerned about accessing food to use the food finder that is on the Second Harvest Food Bank website. It's very easy to use, and the website is just Second Harvest NWNC, of course stands for Northwest North Carolina .org. And get help is easy to click, and then somebody just puts their address in. Could be their home address, or it could be where they work, and they say, hey, what's close by? What are the hours that folks are open, and some other details. It's more comprehensive than what they might see through the broader North Carolina DHHS site, which is going to go to 211, which has great information, but it's not as comprehensive as what we have locally through our website. So we really encourage people to use that food finder. Thank you. Go ahead.
My follow-up question to that is, I don't know what the numbers are, and you might have mentioned them, for the people who are using SNAP. versus the amount of people who use nonprofits to kind of get those resources. If we could kind of compare them at all to know how much pressure would be put on nonprofits then.
So the question is, how much pressure would be put on nonprofits if individuals that are currently engaged with SNAP benefits were to rely on those nonprofits exclusively? County Manager Robinson mentioned, I think this is probably one of the best visuals that I can provide with words. For every one person who is currently accessing a local food pantry, 9 people are being served through SNAP. So 1 to 9. That gives you some relativity to the enormity of the demand that's going to be put on our nonprofits should benefits terminate. I also wanted to mention, Eric mentioned a website, and if you didn't jot that down quick enough, on our page that has been identified on the forsyth.cc website for updates, there is a link to several resources, including the one that was mentioned.
I actually have a question for Reverend Dix, if you can step up to the podium. You had mentioned that now it's more important than ever for a partnership among faith communities here in Forsyth County. From your perspective, are there plans in the works to maybe have a larger gathering, a larger conference, meeting of some kind to sort of coordinate those sort of efforts to give back to the community and help people in need?
Absolutely. The question is there plans for a larger gathering, since I mentioned how we need to partner up, will there be a larger gathering of other collective faith communities that come together? At this time, there have not been one planned. We have been meeting with this team in groups so that we can be able to funnel some information through the Ministers' Conference and our current partners that we're partnering with to see what that looks like in the future. As it was stated earlier, that this is not just going to be a one-time fix, right? It's going to be continuum. And so as the faith community braces for this, we need to have the understanding that this is going to be an ongoing, long-term situation. Certainly much like when COVID-19 came, it left us with certain things that we had to continue on. This is going to be something as faith communities that we're going to learn how to figure out how to continue on from there. Thank you.
I also have one more question for your Superintendent Kathy Moore, if you can step up to the podium, please. You had spoken a little bit about it during your remarks, but just one more time, could you just reiterate the importance of the school system stepping in where it can to make sure students have access to food at where they go to school, and just like the role that the school system and obviously our schools play in providing for them?
So the question is about reiterating and underlining the importance of the school role in ensuring that our students, while they are with us, have access to food and nutrition. As I mentioned, hungry children can't learn. Hunger is an impediment to high quality learning. So during the school day, while students are with us, the importance of the CEP program that our students can access at 71 schools, where breakfast and lunch is of no cost, and then the 10 schools that do not have a CEP program, ensuring that students can receive full meals at those schools, even if they do not have funds in their account to pay for those meals. We want to make sure that while they are with us, we are providing what students need. To the extent that we can support their families and those students when they are not with us, the 25 food pantry sites are critical and important. And there may be some other smaller efforts that happen intermittently in our schools. But again, the Angel Fund that I mentioned earlier, which is open for community members to donate to, ensures that we can continue to provide meals to students who are not at a CEP school. So these efforts have been very successful over the last few years, but that need continues to grow. So I think that we know we have an obligation while they are with us, but we know that that obligation doesn't always just end at the end of the school day. So whether it is food pantries or partnering with our community partners that are behind us to ensure that our families are aware of resources that are in the community, I think that's a piece that we can contribute to those families to make sure that through our school communications, they are aware of the other efforts that are available to them in the community.
One follow-up question to that. When it comes to efforts to make sure families are up to date on the latest information, will that come in the form of perhaps school officials, like reaching out to parents directly, calling them at home, or perhaps sending students home with, a paper full of information, hey, here are a resource that you have access to?
So the question is how the school district will ensure that our families are aware of the resources and options available to them through our school messaging. I think that the district can do a couple of things, certainly with the website, but I am a firm believer that families develop relationships with their schools and their principals much more so than central office. And so what we want to do is equip our principals with the language, with the resources that they can put on their websites, that they can use their phone call home or their Monday folder flyers or those sorts of things to make sure that our families are aware of the resources.
This concludes our media conference. We thank you so much for covering this important issue. Thank you again to our partners who are here and those who are not here. And then we also just want to reiterate and encourage everyone to contact your local food pantry, see what are ways that you can help and stay connected and join in this important effort to support our community. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah.